Guess what? I found Marty. We are here. I told you she was sleeping. So we are going to have a show tonight. It's just something about when me and Marty get together and we get to talking and bouncing off of conversation that we're having with everyone else all day. But then somehow I have it with her and it all makes sense. So anyway, Marty. So the
Hi,
title of
everybody.
the show is it was supposed to be FUCK 9/11, but I softened it up with forget 9/11. 9/11 that I know of is Marty's birthday. So I was just thinking she was saying forget her birthday. But I think it might be a little deeper than that, considering that we know 9/11 for something very tragic that had happened on our soil that don't usually happen on American soil, that left a lot of us distraught and feeling unprotected.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic on to Marty and have her open us up on what she want to talk about as it relates to forget 9/11.
Girl. Okay. The reason I say F 9/11 because it seems like no matter what happens to us, how long it happens to us, it's never it's never acknowledged. We never get the honor to fully grieve, to fully hurt, to fully anything. So I'm damn if I worry about a 9/11. I'm not. I ain't studying them people. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how America treat us. I ain't studying them people. You know what I'm saying?
But I think I'm lost. You saying like remembering what happened to all the lives that lost, or what people you talking about?
Yes, yes. America says never forget 9/11. But when atrocities towards us on American soil happen, they say the same thing. So we don't get
So so you're
flags for
basically saying tit for tat kind of thing,
exactly.
not really that you're heartless and you don't really care about all the innocent people that died that day, but you're just using the significance of one incident couldn't be more important than the other. We should all be able to remember everything accordingly to how we know it to be in the traumatic state it is, and it can stay traumatic for as many years as we need it to be traumatic, right?
That's your interpretation. Because I ain't even saying no ish like that. No, I meant what I meant.
I polished it up a little bit for
I
you
know, I hear it, and I'm
because
not
I
agreeing
wouldn't
with it, but
dare
okay.
want anyone to think that you was heartless and that you would have wanted
You know
or
something? Hey. America have been so hard. America have created this person because ain't no way in the world 25 years ago I would even think this, because I was really deeply into church and Christ. But now that I see that these things are intentional, no, screw them.
well, our country is experiencing so much hate and bad things are happening all the time, especially when it comes around gun violence and things to that nature. Obviously, 9/11 was a bomb, I guess. Well, no, it was airplanes flown. And no, did they use bomb? I guess it had something to blow up too then, maybe. I don't know. How did
Oh,
they get
the
that building
planes,
to.
yeah, the planes.
So the planes made them buildings crumble like that? They didn't have no, like they didn't bomb it?
No, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, I didn't know if you knew about it, like coverage. I
I
know
don't
they
think
were
I know
covering
is
it.
they were saying that the airplanes flew into those buildings. So I'm sure they could indeed, cause that kind of damage.
Well, I don't know. I think I probably wouldn't want to know either. So let me not dig on that thought too much. But for real, like I'm just saying, because I don't know, but like it was sad. A lot of people died that day. Um, but outside of us saying forget about that versus forget about that, what else you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the young man on the train. who stabbed the white lady, the Ukrainian refugee.
Mm. Well, I do know that I watched various clips of that. So obviously, if you watch various clips, you only get certain portions of the information. So I can
Mm.
kind of give a more well-rounded view because I did see several different angles of the video and longer sections of the video. Right
Mhm.
now, I don't think it was a race motivated thing. I don't think, they were saying he was mumbling something about white, but you can clearly look at that man's face and all the mug shots that I've seen him, his 14 mug shots, that he had something mentally going on with him just by the way he was looking out his eyes. I mean, I've been around enough mentally ill people to know. So definitely. And so what I was raising a question, not really to talk on that situation. You can speak on the situation because it's just so traumatic for me. But what I brought out of that was, the fact that this man was there, had been released from prison, constantly going in because he doesn't know how to do the right thing because he is mentally challenged. And at this point, just understanding that, I found out a couple weeks ago, just talking with some homeless people, how our local and our county and state jails release people all the time and keep this homeless population going on within these impoverished communities that keep that type of stuff going on. So then my thing is, I'm always trying to bring and address that root. And so my
Right.
root of the thing is, and what I even wrote to President Trump on Facebook, I said, look, I said, we need to address these correctional centers, because that's
Mhm.
what they call themselves, releasing these people to the impoverished, already suffering people, knowing that they don't have nowhere to go and all of that, and then now they're criminal elements in our community and they're doing things like this.
Well, do you think the reason he didn't is so he can do what he suggested for this gentleman? Because he said death penalty off the top, death penalty.
Well, I
So,
think this is a matter of reactional, similar to, if you, I've studied lynchings in this country, so this would be a reactional, disciplinary, quick. He just killed a young blonde. We have to do something um,
right,
that satisfies that, because otherwise you have this town uproar, kind of like what used to happen back in the day. That lynching, like, it didn't matter if you were special back then either. If you
right,
went and you hurt a little innocent white blonde, you gonna get hung, and they don't want to hear nothing about you being no mental. So this is definitely very similar to what would be a lynching, for it to call for a death penalty, when all of us Americans who have common sense can look at that man and know that he's mentally challenged, that
right.
there wasn't somebody in their right mind that did this act. And no matter, although you see a black person, matter of fact, I took my locks are loose because I heard some people criticize, saying, if you see some black people with some unkept locks, you
You too.
you can just expect them to be a criminal. And I'm like, oh no, or somebody don't know how to do their hair. So let me at least take the locks down, because they was look kind of rag. I seen somebody had a little picture of it. I was like, okay, all right, so maybe I might not want to do this. So but yeah, get ready. It was I don't know if it's still gonna happen. I don't know. So let me not stumble over everything I was saying. So to stay on that direction, it's such a terrible thing that when you have mental illness, there is really nowhere that you can stay for real. It's just very limited. You're definitely a liability on your loved ones, even if they want to take you in. Because you're so dangerous. Like, you, just as he sat on that train filled with strangers and decided to stab someone, he could do that in somebody's home the same way. And that's what a lot of the traumatic experiences within our communities, that's what's be happening. In the mother, I did research this. I'm glad you're talking about it, because I didn't even expect to talk about it. It was just something I just wanted in my head, because I want to really kind of understand everybody from every point of view. And so
Okay.
they did talk to his mom. And so his mom was saying that he got arrested some years ago for armed robbery, and he did 5 years in the prison system for that armed robbery. And she said ever since then, once he got out, he wasn't ever the same. So he's
Okay.
been mentally challenged. So something happened while he was in prison that long extended time. They released him to her, and there was nothing she could do. She's tried to have him committed, and she's done a lot, whatever in her power. But at one point, she had to make sure she was safe because that could have been her versus that young lady. I hate it happened to that young lady, but it's a real issue of being able to these men that you say you correct or you don't correct, you can't just
Uh-huh.
release them on top of poverty as another deficit on top of all everything else. You can't keep releasing these people into the black communities like that because that's basically that train had to be going through a lot of the black community for it to even be filled with black people. Because I know I ride a train and it just depends on what area
Yeah.
it's riding through to know what the patrons are. So I'm going to assume that it was a black community or something like that, or just white people don't ride that train. I don't know. But
Right.
however, I want to also talk about what's been going around as it relates to that video where they were saying that the people sitting there didn't care and they were being heartless and they just watched. Well, first of all, I think everybody was like trying to figure out what was going on. Like when you see the rest of the video, you'll understand. I don't even think she even knew what had happened to her. All she knew was he did touch her, and I think she was freaking out with just him touching her, not knowing that he had stabbed in the back of her neck as well, I guess.
Hmm.
But then I also saw where once they seen it was blood on the floor, then they start trying to figure out where is that blood coming from, right? Like you see the rest of the video, and then somebody tried to, apply pressure, help Brenda aid, but she bled out too fast, right? And so you just kind of knowing the whole full thing, know that okay, don't put these people on the spot like they're heartless people. Don't make it like, oh, it was black people that seen a white girl and they did. No, black people are the first ones to go to aid to help white people. It's our own we
Exactly.
don't help. What do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean? Look, when I went down to the South, I couldn't believe it. That was my first time ever being discriminated against. Literally, there was a black girl helping me. Two white men walked in behind me. She immediately didn't see me and quickly assisted the two white men.
Yeah.
So no, black people ain't trained like that to see something happen to the white girl and not help. No.
Okay, hold on. But when they want to discuss heartless, so we want to act like we have not seen pictures of our people hanging from trees and them standing around laughing, pointing. Make it make sense. Now that's some heartless crap. And they had little kids out there as well, laughing and grinning while
No,
our
some of them they had the whole family strung out for everybody to see. What you mean? They strung our
exactly.
families out. And then this was after they so-called slavery. I got a book filled from 1898 to 1952 of lynchings because when that town got mad, just like I'm saying, that's why I was saying symbolically, this is what that is with the
Yeah.
death penalty. Clearly, you're gonna put a man to death defenselessly, put him to death because his mama couldn't take care of him. So she ain't got no money to fight his defense.
Right.
At the same time, he don't know to fight his defense because he meant to. So if that will please the masses to say, hey, we got him. How dare
Yep.
he won't, we're gonna make an example out of him, and I bet you nobody else do nothing like this ever again. Well, I guess if that make you feel good, but everybody can look at that doggone picture of that man, any version of the pictures of that man, and know that
Yeah.
man wasn't there. Bottom
Right.
line. I'm just saying, I call it this. I deal with people all the time. I love people. I know people. And I look at that man and I already know he wasn't right. So that's probably already people knew he wasn't right when he was on that train. That's what, everybody had a look. You do your little curve eye, but come on
Oh
now.
yeah.
You know how
For
you
sure.
have to behave in the hood because there be so much going on. You can't react to everything. You gotta know what's what. you
Right.
know and so that's what those people, you can tell they was used to riding that train, and you can see one lady of all the men that was on there, she looked like she was tired, but she had her eye caught corner like, what the heck going on, hold on. But
Uh
at the
huh.
same time, she was laid out. Like it was just some stuff just happened so quick.
Right.
So that's what I have on that. What do you feel about it?
Um, like I was sharing with you earlier. To be honest, Because this is the climate where they think they can say whatever they want to say to us. And so, hey, um, we spazzing out. We just losing it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna claim that. No, nah, that
Now,
was a
I'm just
mentally.
true enough, but I'm just saying it's time
What
that
happened
we
to him in that prison? He was okay. How are men going in them prisons and then coming back out like that? Why are you? Why are you? And
that's
then everybody want to say it's attack on the black family. Y'all, that's a fuel. You come on now. He can't come out and be nobody's daddy, nobody's husband, nothing.
right,
What
right.
he went in that hole? How did he come out in that hole?
Yeah.
But it's a correctional facility. What kind of correction are you doing?
Correcting them back in there.
I
That's it.
guess.
That's it.
So
You
I
know?
feel heart go out for the Ukrainians that are hurting at the loss, her family, her loved ones, everybody that, loved her here in the United States. I hate that happened to her, so I'm very sympathetic, empathetic about all of it, but I'm also empathetic about the mentally ill man that should have been able to get some help through the correctional facility and not just released to the public like that, to be able to hurt the public like that. We really need to be looking at some policies or something that can stop the facilities. That'll stop a lot of the homeless bleed, I'm telling you, in the communities. Because think about it,
I'm
when
sure.
they parole, when they get out, they're not going to the zip codes with no public crime in it. They're
Right.
not going there. They're going right there because that's where they can live on the street and that's where it's been allowed. But like how Trump cleaned up DC, anything can get
Mm.
cleaned up in this country if you really enforce it, and then find a way. They're doing
Thank
something with
you.
their mentally ill people. So the same way what they did to DC need to be done in all of these cities so black people can
Everything.
really enjoy themselves. We've been being terrorized from our oppressors to our own people for a long time because the majority of us want to live in good. We don't want to keep moving from our neighborhoods and going to neighborhoods that people don't want us in anyway.
Exactly.
And we only leave our neighborhoods not because we don't want to be around us, because of the crime that's allowed in our neighborhoods. But if it wasn't allowed,
But it's
a lot of
legislated.
people would go home, like for
It's
real.
profitable. It's profitable.
Well,
They're not.
we know that, but I'm just saying. So I dare them to come clean up those communities and start there. That'll be one step right there. Just start with no ordering. I think Trump maybe can do it. I mean, maybe he only got federal, but being able to get the states to say, "Hey, no longer release these people unless we know they're corrected and they can support their own self." And if they
Right.
can't figure out a way to transition them somewhere else that do help with people that can't support themselves. But don't just
Mm.
sit and leave them to chance with the people that's less vulnerable. Like, come
Mhm.
on.
Right.
I don't know. I
Mhm.
get so passionate about that, but yeah, let's switch the subject. And I mean, it ain't any better, but we had a political assassination today. The news is calling for this political assassination. Trump has asked the nation to lower their flags all across, all the way up into Sunday. Today is Wednesday. He said all the way up to Sunday. So this was a really sad moment, apparently, for a lot of people, especially for our presidents. This had to be somebody really special to him for him to even go through the heights of doing this. I'm still learning about him. I didn't know his name until today. But I am running.
Right.
I did know the organization, and maybe I have seen him and didn't really realize that I seen him because I have seen that Turning Point organization name and everything. So I've been familiar with that and probably the conversations, but not really realizing that was a thing. And so I kind of
Yeah.
like start watching a lot of his videos, and I see him. I saw like how I was telling you about um Candace. Like Candace got out there, pushed out there, hadn't understood a lot of things, so said some things, and then she had to later retract. I believe that I can't say the same thing about him, but what I can say is we are shaped by our values, right? Like so what I've
Yeah.
seen, what I can say, and my husband agreed because I spent an hour listening to various videos, and my husband is always in the background, and he kind of nod me on or off. Like if it's something trash, he gonna be like, "What are you listening to?" But he was
Mhm.
listening to it, and so I got some honest reactions from him, and my own thoughts. So um and just the fact of I went to school with a lot of young men similar to him at my university, and just putting all that into perspective. I do know that he was raised in a suburb outside of Chicago, so it's probably one of them suburbs similar to how we have here, where we got all the black people, whoever living in the main inner cities where all the crime, and then we got all those beautiful, pretty much all white communities on all the skirt with no crime and no this and that, but everybody come in to work and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
their natural interaction is just that. So all that to say, so all that to say, understanding where he's from and what his exposure limit was or is, um I can understand why some of his views were kind of warped. At the same time, I also understand that he was a really big Christian, and so there are some people who really want Christianity to be the only thing that people do. But I don't think. Okay, we lost Marty. Hopefully she come back on. There she is. I'm
Hello.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And you were saying something about Christianity. People want
oh,
Christianity.
so I was saying that I do know he's really big. He was really big on Christianity views. Like, he stated some things that I could agree with, but some things that I don't agree with. As a Christian, I will never not want Muslims to pray 5 times a day, or really make America a Christian nation. Like that type of stuff is a little too far extreme. In view when it comes to Christianity, I would like to share the love of Christ with people as a Christian, but not to push anything or stop anybody from doing whatever it is that they believe. So he was kind of oppressive in that from what I have seen. Um, but he was also really, really intelligent, and that's why he was really quick on his feet, and that's why he didn't mind any of them challenging him. But then I also see where he was doing some censoring. Lastly, I have about a 10-minute clip that I've found of him talking to a couple young men about reparations and how he felt, which he said he did support it. Overall, between the two conversations, just kind of wrap up what he said about reparations. Um, he said that we need to improve the education system by getting like vouchers or whatever. And if we guarantee black kids have strong education, then they're going to be guaranteed to make money or something like that. Because
That's the
basically,
biggest lie.
he said that
Mm.
the black community has collapsed. The culture has collapsed over the last 60 years. He's not lying.
Right.
He said it literally collapsed. He said the families are this and that, for us, there's only 25% fathers in the home and some other stuff. But we
Yeah.
also do, we know the inner truth of welfare, the
Right.
great deal, and the compromise of our men in our home. Um, I used this example for my husband, and his eyes lit up because I was like, I'm that person. So I watched this lady. She was talking about she ended up divorcing her husband at 37, that they were married for 16 years, had 5 kids, but didn't work out, right? They got divorced.
Mhm.
Met another gentleman, anyway, signed up for welfare. Well, the lady was all in her business. This was back in 1967 interview. Lady was all in her business, told her that she couldn't have a boyfriend if she wanted welfare, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, that makes no sense. Anyway, long story short, was denied the welfare because she didn't get rid of the boyfriend.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously made an example out of her. So guess what's gonna happen? People gonna make sure they hide their boyfriends and not have them, right? Uh,
Right.
and then so I said it to my husband. I said, when you met me, I had that amount of kids. I said, so they stopped. If it was another man to come and help heal that home, they forbade him to come heal that home based off the little crumbs that they're gonna give her to help
Mhm.
us to stay. So, and then they figured that out early on. Obviously, they knew that, and so Here we are, 6 years. So I was like, okay, I like him because he's speaking truth. Finally, somebody
Yeah.
said it. So, if the black community has collapsed, the family structure, everything, can it be repaired?
Can it be what?
Repair. How do you repair a collapse
Pay,
of a
pay up, pay up.
so it can be repaired with economics.
Yeah.
Why don't nobody want to give direct money? Why do everybody? Even he even got one of the little young black guys in. He was getting with him. He even painted the picture to say that reparations is like heirs. So what are you saying? You banning heirs from getting their money or whatever? Anyway, he somehow tripped him up with casing it back in and saying, "Yeah, man, I agree, but look, this is the whole thing. Education. I think he just
No,
said education and something else.
no, that's a lie. And the reason they got issues with black people being paid reparations because you got to look at it. Aren't we like the highest tax people? Everything we make go right back to them. So ain't nothing really nothing changed today.
Right, and even in the education, because I'm up here like, oh, I know he said better education, housing, just the same.
What's better education? We had it, and you got rid of our black teachers. You had it. It wasn't no being around them or in their area. We like Dr. Umar Johnson said, we were inventing things before we could be next to them in these rundown, dilapidated field, old books having schools. So give me a break. Give me a break. If when they pay us our reparations and we start our own nation, like our elders told us to, it's it's a done deal. It's a done deal.
Wait a minute. Some of our elders
Yeah.
said that. I missed that one.
Yeah.
Who said start our own nation?
Dr. Marcus Garvey said Africa's what do you say? Africa, uh home, at home and abroad. Unite. And Dr. Amos Wilson says, until you see yourself as a nation, which means we have no need of nobody. Look at us as a spending people. We don't need nobody. All we need is unity. Once we get our unity back,
Black people across the globe or black Americans?
well, hell, we could be Black America, and well, we've proven that we could be self-sustaining. It's Black
Okay,
America.
so because we gotta define that real quick because right now that Marcus Garvey movement of Pan Africanism
Uh,
has given other African countries lead on our reparations and advocating and saying that we were the stolen people of their nation. Therefore, whatever is given in economic repair needs to come through them.
well, we need to be
And
just
so, are we
totally
Black
focused on here.
Americans
Then
or are we Africans?
we
Because
Black
the
Americans.
Africans are negotiating our reparations as we speak.
We're American African.
So
Because I
are
don't
we
need them to say nothing.
So I think they trying to see how much so they can bring us to their country, and bring us back home. Kind of how the Jewish did the Ethiopian Jewish.
We don't need them. No, we here. True. But yeah, no
You
ma'am.
don't want them to come get us?
And take me where? Shit. I don't know anybody over there.
The different African nations that's negotiating our reparations. You
I'm
haven't heard of
here.
that?
I'm here. And I'm gonna just about
So they
stay
gonna
here.
take your money and you gonna stay here. They
Well,
gonna get your money.
if I go down there, give me some money. Give me my cut.
No, they gonna do like this. They gonna make a deal, and they
I
gonna
need
say,
no deal.
I'll take 20 million of them in this country. I'll take another 10 million in this country for so many millions of dollars. You
No, I'm
going?
good. No. No,
So what's
I
been
say that.
happening with you today? How was your day?
It was a day. You know something?
I'm listening.
Let's talk about what's really going on inside of these educational institutions, because I am so frustrated and I want to walk away and I can't.
Got you
'Cause
stuck.
yeah, I've got myself stuck. But even at that, these kids we're releasing into America, into these careers, uh, and it's not looking good. And to have the kind of passion that I have, it's just heart wrenching. The kids are totally unruly. They vulgar field, and once again, they have confused what freedoms and rights are. And then the parents, I totally get it. They do not want to be harsh and mean spirited and all that stuff towards their kids, like they feel that they were treated, but it was for a reason. And it wasn't to bury you young,
It was
but
the
they
spur
had
of the ride. You spoiled a child.
more the job, right? So
It was the
it,
common sense that we've been getting taught the whole time. Spur of the ride. You spoiled a child.
and they don't see it being a problem. They have no fear, so they don't see it being a problem with killing nobody or killing themselves. And
They
it's
have
just
no
like,
fear because the rod has been spurred against them already, so they don't know of the
exactly.
rod.
Right, right. And I'm like, if we keep on burying them, we're not going to have a future. And it's disheartening what I'm seeing on a daily basis, daily.
I know. And
So
then
and
it's
as a
also
people, we need to collectively give a damn.
we waiting on everybody else to fix us. That's why we need our reparations so we can fix us. They
Right.
hollered about the only reason that they were pulling back on Chicago um crime reduction is they'll lose $800 million in gun violence
Who bring
money.
the guns in the poor black community? Who bring the guns in the United States?
I mean, I'm trying to figure out how these poor black kids are even able to afford these guns when they can't even feed themselves.
That part. More likely going into these Arabian stores, these side shops, these gas stations that law enforcement that's within the community know is going on. So it's a concerted system that's preying upon our children.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't coming out the womb, ooh, let me go get a gun. No, it starts with legislating poverty, lack, not enough. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the audacity to come and criminalize me for you withholding resources and opportunities. This what's his name? Ben Carson says we have been conditioned to think that politicians, gonna solve our problems. There's gonna come a time when we realize they're the reason because of the problem. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, gosh, I've been following a couple of people on YouTube who's whining and crying about the Democrat Party or whatever. And I just told them my comments were, we left y'all because for so long you've taken us for granted. We're literally living the result of our votes. We're accomplices to our downfall, our trauma. So we ain't gonna keep on voting for the same party. So we ain't vote for neither you. Do what you may, but no, because this is crazy. And our children should be centered around our very vision. And it's not. It's not. So
Yeah.
Kevin.
I'm here.
Um
I'm hearing you and I'm trying to digest it
okay.
and just really, because I have been a little isolated, thank God, because I didn't want to feel what you're feeling. I have experienced what you're experiencing. And it's like it's a never ending cycle. And it's just like different players, but them different players is our future. And
Yeah.
they're not just killing the boys, the girls are getting killed too. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Like, the girls ain't reproducing, the boys ain't reproducing. They're getting killed before they reproduce. So
Yeah.
how could we have a future with that kind of normalcy? Because basically what they arguing about crime being down is the normalcy of it, and saying like, okay, it's all right, it's normal because this is the way it's been for the last 30, 40 years. No, the hell is not.
Exactly. It's
Everything that
not.
happens in them other zip codes to keep those zip codes safe can be the same way in ours.
Right.
Poor people are not criminals, we're just poor.
Right.
Poor people are not dummies, they're just poor
No money. Correct.
and sitting ducks because most of them don't even understand guns. Every instance is something negative with a gun, so people don't even want ports of gun. Most of the people in black community, and that's why the gun
Yeah.
violence. Because if there were more people with guns in the black community, it's no freaking way. Honestly, just like in those other zip codes, most people have guns even in them safe neighborhoods. So
Mm-hmm.
come in our house if you want to.
Right. Yeah.
So I've been saying, and I keep on saying that part of the problem is we need to educate the community about guns and get them armed. While we
Mm-hmm.
asking for the National Guard to come in, just imagine just the people that the law-abiding citizens really get trained. Because I done talked to too many people that could have a gun that don't and don't even know the first thing about sorting to get one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
probably could help keep the communities a whole lot safer because people are going to think twice about doing criminal activity when you have protection. I mean, that's just how it works. This is part of our Second Amendment, I guess. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so understanding that guns will never be taken away out of here, we can at least make sure that people are equally educated on it. And we know a lot of people in the black community are just sitting ducks, honestly,
Yep.
and so because they're used to, even if you had a gun back in the day, white people could take it from you and still lynch you, or
Yep.
they can lynch you for having it, even though it was yours legally. Like, so we
Yeah. It wasn't
have
hard.
went through an experience and passed those experiences down through generations, so we still understand those habits and understand that that could happen. That's why the stuff that they're up in arms about with people already came into the country illegally. We've been here
Mm-hmm.
legally and ain't been treated right. So
Right.
how dare you come into the country illegally and expect for the same rights? And then I hear all these, like, I'm just studying advertising reparations, and I'm studying having these what, because I have a whole audience of people I don't even know, and they're mainly white people, and they just be loving for me to post. And they be on it because I don't do nothing extra. And then I get a guarantee 14, 1,500 saying no, we'll never pay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
just like whatever the ideology. And I'm just thinking, like, do y'all even know? Y'all don't even understand. Like,
Exactly.
and so just but still understanding that we still have a lot of people in some very ignorant mind frames as it relates to us, because remember, they legislated all this. Didn't nobody change their minds and their hearts and say, hey,
Right.
come on,
Yep.
y'all. You know?
Yep.
And understanding that, you just be like, okay, so why and I think that's why Martin Luther King said he led his people to a burning building. You was never
Mm-hmm.
supposed to integrate us. Like, that wasn't integration, that was assimilating. You assimilated us and
Yes,
told
it
them
is.
give us this, do this, and then they took the poor people campaign, and man, boy, Lord, that's a whole nother show right there. Matter of fact, we got to do a show on the poor people campaign and
Please.
just talk about what should have happened, what can happen, and what probably would have happened had he not been assassinated. Like I said, we've been taken, so I can understand what the community that's following this young man, Mr. Kurt, is hurting, because they probably really looked up to him. He was really an intelligent man. He
Mm-hmm.
had his view of however he's been raised and straight and shaped, heavy religious, and heavy bias from looking at other communities from outside his white community kind of thing. And then
Exactly.
being able to form those stereotypes that are pretty typical. They're not shocking. They're very typical stereotypes. And at the same time, because the black community doesn't control his economics or anything about it, even the narrative of the black community has changed to pretty much support a lot of
Yeah.
the ideology of that. And so when I see that and me just you smiling, I'm serious. I have to give it where it's due. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm too intelligent to sit and pretend like how Democrats and I was a Democrat. I don't think I'm a Democrat no more. I'm done with Democrats. But
I know
how
I'm
the
not.
liberal, how the
Yeah.
liberal people always, shape their rebuttal statements, and then you listening, and then it's a whole bunch of nothing. Like, what did you just say? You didn't even say nothing. You didn't even answer. But then I could hear others repeating the same rubbish and making it
Mhm.
like they just hit a valid point, and then get mad at you and possibly violent because you didn't get what they said because they didn't say
They
anything.
didn't say nothing. Right. Like, dude.
Girl, all of my 30 years in politics, I done great in politics.
I
Man,
see.
all I can do is just laugh at
Yeah.
politics. My friend, actually, when you called me, I had a girl. Actually, she messaging me. That's actually I did get distracted a little bit. I normally don't look at my phone, but I did. And she's telling me about this sister in I think Florida. Um, says that me and her had the same for whatever.
Mhm.
Just saying she could see me in the House of Congress or whatever, and I should consider running and all of that. So she just been in my inbox for the last couple of days. So I was like, I ain't nah, I'm good. But the House of Congress, that might be
Right.
something different. But the
Mhm.
state, I'm good on the state. I'm good on the local at this point. If I ran for something, it got to be on a federal level so I can actually affect some policies. Because honestly, the only way you change things is the policy. Because people not changing their hearts. You're constantly having a generation after generation. You're pouring the same stuff into their
Exactly.
hearts. So
Yeah.
nothing is going away. And then all our generation did was pretend that it wasn't there. We knew all along everything they talk about now was always there, even though our parents told us that it was a better day and a better way. And we,
Man.
but we were like,
Nah,
but these people still racist. What do you mean? Like,
I'm
but
nice. I go
they
to
need,
church.
but black kid and the white kid can sit together. That don't mean
No.
nothing. And
No.
so we knew that in our generation, and these kids after us knew it, and so forth and so forth. And here we are, a
Yep.
real woke America, two nation America, to be honest. So when you said nation, I was thinking you were going to talk about us just already being a nation within a nation, but we were the nation that have been put in inferior status. So when they had, just say 100 acres, we had a tenth of 1 acre. You see what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying?
Mhm.
And push all them 1,500 people on a tenth of 1 acre, while 10 people be on the 100 acres. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what has happened throughout the years of where we see Black America and white. Let's call it. Honestly, America was built on black and white,
Most,
literally.
yeah.
Black and white people built America.
Black labor,
Incoming
white wealth.
black labor, white wealth, and some black white. I ain't gonna say because in came the white immigrants in their labor as well, and that's why they'll
Black
say,
labor,
"Oh, our
white
people go back 100 years, and we didn't. We're not paying for any." You listen. You came in on your whiteness.
wealth.
You
Yep.
come on. You already been paid. What are you talking about? We've been here all these centuries.
From the
Ain't
very
never had a
beginning.
whiteness past to get the opportunity that you have, that you can say that we did have fairly too. That's a lie. I wish
Exactly.
anyone would come in my face and tell me that.
That's
I
why
wish, and I
that's
hate
why I
that I didn't
said
know
black
this.
that's
Go
why I
ahead.
said black labor and white wealth. Because it's up to them to decide to use their whiteness for their advantage. I know that they can. And
Well,
I know even I know even if their poverty state, they will. Okay, so no, I'm not giving that a pass. It's black
I
labor.
tried. I gave it a pass.
No man,
I bought into the colorblind
it's reality
society.
for me.
I did my best. Boy, girl, I went down to the South, and the South handed me my butt and let me know, nope, you still a nigga. I don't care
That's
how
what.
well you do what you do.
Yep.
We see you still a nigga. We love you, but you still
Yep.
a nigga. We know who you
Mhm.
are. It was unlike this where you can smile, smile, but then I'm going back to my white community away from you. I have no clue who you are, but I will be respectful because the law told me to be respectful to you, but I don't care to know you. And that's just how it's been here with black and white. But and those are also immigrant groups, and I understand that. But Americans
Yep.
that really are the Americans, the core base of the white Americans that raped the black Americans, that now the black Americans barely have 30% of African DNA in them because they've been raped by all the
Yep.
founding white ethnicities.
Mhm.
I don't need to call them by name, but we know what white groups was here first. We know who
Right.
the indentured servants are. We know who we fought the American Revolution with.
You're correct.
Yeah, we all mixed up. We just happen to have a darker skin. We all mixed up from generation to generation, 400 years of it. How dare you? We Americans. We all Americans. And then you got other views of incoming immigrant Americans. That's a whole nother thing. But an American wants the quality for black Americans the same way it's been for white Americans. We got to acknowledge that this has been a nation. We talk about a Christian nation, it's definitely been a white nation. And that's
That's true.
okay because we've been living a black nation at the same time simultaneously. The difference of the two nations is one nation had all the wealth and the other
Mm-hmm.
nation, I won't say it didn't have all the wealth because we had some human capital. That's how we was able to
I
survive
was just
everything.
gonna say that. I was
So
just
we
gonna
had
say that.
human capital.
We had the wealth.
We didn't have no liquid assets and
Yeah.
all that like we needed to. But guess what? We made a do out of a do, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
the nation that continues to survive off of nothing. They freed us of famine. They gave the white slave owners their reparations for whatever losses that they may have occurred per slave. And they
Yep.
gave a per slave nothing. Nothing. And then
Mm-hmm.
you want us to say, forget about it? No, 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 no,
No.
no, no. This is justice based. This ain't no need based. I don't care. We can have several people be the richest Americans in the world and they still get reparations if they
Yep.
a black American because it's in their lineage. It would be an inheritance. It would be the heir of their property, no different than all those billions of slave dollars that have been passed through all the generations too.
Mm-hmm.
Who should pay
Yep.
for it? Americans should pay for it.
America. Right.
Whoever says they're American, the way we pay for everything else around the world, the way that we
Mm-hmm.
paid the Jewish state for all this time,
Yep.
America should pay for. Yes, America. We, me, America. Yes, this is
Oh,
something I will support. I will
we are all
support
it.
as an
Yep.
American citizen reparations. I will
Yep.
support us cleaning up all of America, including its inner cities, for everything to be safe in every zip code in America. Those are two things I support. And I guarantee you, if we do just those two things, we fuel Black America with economics and we fuel Black America with safety. Black
That's it.
America will be repaired for real.
Yep. And
Now,
quickly.
will you be able to handle what Black America builds itself up to be with it being a safe Black America? Because never in the history of America has Black America really been a safe Black America. Black Americans flee to white America to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
because of all the lawlessness that goes on in our communities, that we can't feel safe, and we have to lock our doors at nighttime and all this other stuff that wasn't happening, by the way, during segregation.
It
But
wasn't.
we were all locked up together in the same way. I'm not sure what happened. I'm
Mm.
sorry, I'm getting a little passionate, girl, but
I, no,
the
man.
more and more I read, the more and more I learn, the
Uh huh.
more and more I just be like, wow. But then I hear so many other people up front loud and don't even have the information to defend whatever position. And then the whole position is just killed. So I'm like, I wish I would have known this Mr. Kirk before today. Honestly, I could see myself. That would have been one of the people that I would have been able to try to get to that line and be able to ask some questions and be able to defend myself if I wasn't probably censored. I'm not sure how they go,
Well, you know they will censor
but
you.
but definitely I feel like what I want to do is write, like, do some videos. I feel like, because especially the reparation one, I feel like I want to do a
Right.
video and then give my rebuttal if he would have said it to me. I think I want to do that because like I said, he was really intelligent guy. Like, it wasn't that he didn't make sense. Like, people quickly call somebody a nut. No, he was definitely not a nut, but he
Uh huh.
definitely was a product of his environment. And sometimes we can't get mad at people for that until we have these hard conversations. It takes these hard conversations for us to try to get past whatever it is that we need to get past. And
Mm-hmm.
so I appreciate any and everyone that can respectfully have the hard conversations that no one else wants to talk about. That's why I love Rush Limbaugh. Everybody be like, "Oh, no, you didn't. He was a racist." I don't care. He started conversations that everybody
Right.
was thinking and not bold enough to
Exactly.
talk about.
Yeah.
Mad respect for
I
somebody that
didn't
can
like
do
him, but
that.
I didn't like Rush, but I did appreciate that about him.
Okay, good.
I,
So if nothing else,
apologize too. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's somebody that I have mimicked. I've bought a few of his books, read his books, kind of learned his ideology. And honestly, so if somebody had to say, well, who will you mimic after? I would probably say Rush Limbaugh. But the thing that I perfect with Rush Limbaugh, even though I might start conversations that are hard conversations with people, um,
Uh-huh.
things that people talking about, I still try to keep it. As you can see, even with me rewording some things you said, I learned how to reword, not to really kill what's been said about it, but say it in the academia state of things, to where it can't be debated,
Mhm.
because they like to tie you up when you're using other words. They like to tie you up with just those words. But when you use some bigger, more extensive descriptions, it's really hard to lock you into one. And that's what I've learned. So I'll give you a real loaded answer that could have probably been said in 3 words, honestly. But
Right.
guess what? What you can't do is quote them 3 words. You got to quote it all. you
That part. Every
and
word.
you got to first now dissect it, because you're like, what the heck did she say?
Silly.
I'll tell you, sometimes I've had people like during headline, after I give them an answer, they be like, I'm like, so I'll be ready for them to come back. They be like, no, I'm taking it
Right.
in. I'm like,
I'm
dang,
stuck
I
in here.
stopped talking 2 minutes ago. Like, what?
Hmm.
I'm still processing. And you said what? And then they won't even be able to pull out a good sentence of what I said. But
Yeah.
that's how the human brain works. And then I also know that God blessed me with an extraordinary human brain. I'm admitting it now. I didn't really see it then. I see it now. And I'm
Uh-huh.
thankful for it. And I want to do the right thing with it. If I can help influence people in a more positive way, similar to what Mr. Kirk has been doing, um, that's something I know I'm called to do. And whether I do it on a individual level, whether I do it on a mass of audience level, however we do it, as long as I'm
Uh-huh.
doing something and I'm not sitting on the gift. And that's the same way with you. I love us coming together because this is just us, our week. We're busy, and so we're not sitting on our gifts by sharing it publicly. Now, who watches is one thing. I know we're gonna build up eventually because we haven't really been marketing like we have, but it's all there. All these receipts will be here. They'll be like, okay, Taffy and Marty, real deal. Because girl, on
Uh-huh.
Facebook, when I put the little clips up, Oh my god, we getting famous in the white community. Got it.
You so
I'm
silly.
laughing. I'm so goofy. They be like, no. they say not these two again. So we, I don't want to be like, what was the ones that would love Trump, Diamond and whatever the other one name was.
Girl, bye.
That's how they talking about us. They like, not these two again. they always,
Well, I
they
love that
always got
dude.
something to
Fuck
say. They say we always got something to say. They be talking about we not get reparations. They be, they be saying go get a job. They be just doing
Girl,
stuff.
when I tell you they used to when I was heavy in the protests over in Ferguson, that's all they would say. I'm thinking, dude, that mean you ain't working either. So shut up. I'm glad you
But
think
they
we're all collecting aid and you're taking care of us. No, I just literally got off of work and I'm on these streets. You gotta go somewhere. They
well,
always
what
think somebody not working.
But I also realized that everybody comprehension ain't as big as ours. And like
That
literally
part.
that be they little brain thinking because one guy he came back on me and see I just be talking to people as intelligent as possible and that usually
Uh,
cool them down a little bit. And I was talking about the homeless guy and just saying how we need to make sure that those facilities are not just releasing them into the community like that. And he was like, well,
right.
you buy him a house. I ain't buying him a house. Da, 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 da. It was going on. So
Yeah.
then,
I'm
so
like, where your
then,
red hat
so
at?
then I was like, I said, so, and I was like, to elaborate further, I said, and then I shared basically the thought that I shared with you earlier. And then he was
Right.
like, well, that makes sense, but I still ain't for supporting no criminal. He death penalty, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever, So he wants blood regardless. Like, like, okay,
All of them. When it
let's
comes
not
to
even
us,
talk about the homeless because I had basically turned calling for the death penalty into a conversation about homelessness and how the state and the local help fuel the homelessness by
correct.
constantly releasing these criminals into these impoverished communities. So he heard me, but then he didn't hear me because he back talking about felony death penalty, and I'm like, okay, whatever,
Mhm.
you know. Um,
Right.
Chances are, I'm sorry, I don't care what kind of defense people raise for him. Um, that administration has the best of the best of attorneys, and you see they're losing cases left and right. No matter who sued the Trump administration, they got some of the finest minds. Um, and chances are they're going to make sure this guy gets the death penalty, despite him being mentally
Hold on.
challenged.
Is it the finest mind or who have the money? Because I question I question even attorneys because no one ever comes up and speaks out against what's going on within our inner cities, be it education malpractice, anything. And that takes me back to Supreme Court uh Roger Taney, where he says blacks have no rights to which the white man is bound to respect. And then they attach these high law fees on there where we of course can't afford to sue. So it's not even that's not even genuine to me. It's who just got money. Because
So,
there
so
cannot be
as
any
somebody
harm.
as a law school dropout, there there is certain requirements to get in certain law schools, certain tests. You need to be a speed reader. There's a certain skill sets that they make sure they trip you up. So not a lot of dummies are entering law school. Not in the traditional sense. They might have some other gaps that allow people. So when I call somebody intelligent, just believe I'm not just throwing it out because I want to call them intelligent. But I do know the background of some of these people that have been hired in the administration. And just understanding that and then watching, like I said, I'm gonna get receipts, I'm gonna go find videos, I'm gonna go find you in action and then make an opinion, not just off of even what you wrote on paper. um and that's why I'm saying that they learn how to not it's not that they have the money, but they do the law. So basically ambiguity is the word that you should be using, is your friend. So in the law, it's not even about the law. It's about how well you apply certain things to the law.
But they never ever stand on the side of those that they know America legislate
But have
these.
we gotten out? Have regular people really got out in the street like some Brewster Place type stuff and said enough's enough for real and cried
That's
out
what
and
we do.
said, hey, we're doing it on video and stuff now. I'm seeing a lot of footage of all type of people from all the different franchise plantations across America, basically saying, "Come help us, please." But
Yeah.
we're not doing it in an organized fashion. We're doing it from our own little shilohs. Now, if we organize it, but we think we need money to organize something like that, even though all we need is our collective power. But then again, because of the divisiveness and all the different divisions and all the different hurt and all the personalities, we can't even collaborate that many people. The last movement like that was Marcus Garvey movement, and look how long ago that was. That's why I say if that movement was to happen, it would have to start from within a community, right? And so that's why
Right.
I was saying between now and until April, if
Hmm.
I'm going to spend my energy on anything, it's going to be from block to block educating our people with whatever I decide to give to educate, right? Up until that, if I even feel comfortable, because after this guy got shot, I don't know if I want to organize anything like that, to be honest, because we have so much hate in this world, and it takes just one thing to fuel people to go after anybody. And so I think you're probably going to see a little more shielded organizing going on as well, because that was clearly, a key figure, uprising figure that somebody took out of nowhere. They didn't even see it coming because he was doing what he normally do. It was a
Hmm.
normal set. And so, but the whole objective is to start some kind of movement. Whether or not the movement is out front where we all out, or we got to go block to block
Yeah.
and then activate online. Do you get what I'm saying? Because all of us got these devices. So
True.
whether or not we on a WhatsApp connecting or whatever God leads us to do, all I'm saying is I know we have to reach the people, and we have to start at our front door. I can't go to Washington D.C. and be seen on TV and say I went to Washington D.C. and stood with the people. And no,
Yeah. For real.
I would love walk past the problems in my Belleville neighborhood and went to DC just to get some
Right.
attention.
Right. Hello.
So all I'm saying is I know my commitment, my charge upcoming between now and April is to be able to further educate this community block by block. And it can be done because I've done it in other communities that I didn't even know.
Yes, ma'am.
So understanding that, what leads up to it, if people say no, we don't need to do that, we need to just be online doing some other stuff, that's fine, because however it builds up, we're going to build it up. But it gotta start in our front door. That's the whole key to community
I believe.
organizing. You
I
can't
believe.
organize a bunch of people from the outside and then bring them in and say, look at the community.
Right. You
It
don't even
just
live
it's
in the.
And so we 3 minutes over our show, but it was well worth those 3 minutes just to kind of
Yeah.
get that out, because that's so important of just knowing our direction, what we're gonna do, and why the Morty and Savvy show, where we're going and what kind of movement we're trying to just and I don't even want to say wake no more because they didn't exploit or woke. It's just so much,
That's our
but
word.
I know, but it's exploited now, and so many other people got different versions of it. But anyway, we need to shake some people up. We need to educate some people. I'm all about educating people to shake them up, because what people tell me, well, they won't say they can read, they tell me read it to them and then they'll react to it themselves. Girl,
Right.
because I done brought a whole just one little page to people and they're like, what it say?
You need
So
pictures.
that,
You need
look,
pictures, Shelby.
outside all kinds of communities, Marty, I done went to the people. I ain't gonna say just our people. All the people be like, it's some people don't like reading nothing extra. They don't have to
No.
read, and you show them a page. You know how I am. Just one page, and I'm thinking that I done limited it. I'm like, it's just one page. Just read it. No, no, no. Tell me what it
No. Get in
says.
pictures. Get in pictures, girl.
And so you gotta find that right thing that you're going to educate the people. That's one thing I had to learn, was not to load them up with too much information, but give them just enough, because that's all they need. They just need the message. And once they get the message, then they're gonna spread it, And so that's what I know. And so, like I said, people don't even know the word reparations, yet alone what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we starting at. I don't know how many people you talk to, but do you think people know more on your side? Like, and see, I've done something different. I've connected with all people that I probably would have never connected. I'm an introvert to my heart. Like, I'm way worse than you, Marty. And so I
Yeah.
literally have been without people and don't need them for real. And so all the people I've touched, you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
believe that I touched these many people, and just to understand, but I enjoyed it. And so now understanding that, I just understand what I'm understanding about a lot of people. You need to start from square one with them to even, they got to understand some
Mm-hmm.
history, because they don't understand the history of why, because they got a lot of the same ideologies as a lot of the white people as far as reparation go, because they like, well, they didn't do it. And they have to, until you can understand the history and understand that it's justice based and not
Right.
need based and all this other stuff. So it's a whole lot. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying not to, I just want to make sure we close with that. Okay. And so that is something that I didn't know, because I do live in this little smart world. All these people that, I usually just deal with a lot of smart people, and they get it real quick, but not everybody has all that. But not
Right.
everybody cannot get all that. We just got to get each other on the right page with the right message. If you want to convey it differently, I'm okay with you conveying it differently, because that was a problem with some of our other leaders. They all wanted black liberation. I'm talking about Franklin, God, Frederick Douglass, and Marcus Garvey, and W.E.B. Du Bois. They were all in the same era, but they all had a different way and a different plan to black liberation. But they all
Right.
wanted black liberation. So I'm saying I want to get with all of the people that have another plan, another direction. Long as we're trying to achieve the same thing, I'm okay with every way you go. You
Right.
know. All right. So it's late. It's been a good week, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.